Florida Tropics. My name is Sonia Vaquero, and I'm here with you today to talk to you about a series of tropical fruits discussions. And our guest today is Mr. Chris Rollins. He's with the Fruit and Spice Park here in the Redlands area. Welcome, Chris. How are you doing?
Great, Sonia. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. We wanted to invite Chris to give us a little bit of background discussion on the beautiful Fruit and Spice Park that we have here in the Homestead area, Redland Homestead area, as they call it. And just to learn more about it, to get this park more notice within the community and within, I know it's very popular within the tourist attractions as well. So, Chris, let me ask you a little bit about the park, just to give us a little bit of history on the park itself. When was this park originally opened, or how did it get started? Or?
Well, the park is a Miami-Dade County park, and it has been right from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And it was built in what used to be Pine Woods way out in the Redlands, and it was actually established in 1944.
Okay.
And it's really an interesting phenomenon because it's a very specialized park. There's only one in the United States that's a tropical fruit park, and we have 35 acres, and we really specialize in tropical fruits. And it's a reflection of the agricultural industry that's interested in exotic tropicals, way back in the 40s and even at the turn of the century. We started with avocados right down the street in 1902 mm-hmm. in the Redlands, and in 1935 they had the Redland Fruit Festival on what's now the park. So there was a lot of interest, and that community interest is what caused it to come about.
Okay, and it started with that much acreage?
No, it started with us 18 acres, and then over the years it's expanded bit by bit.
And how has these trees been brought or planted or?
Well, you know, once in a while I have the pleasure of going on a trip and bringing some new thing back, but most of them have been brought in by the residents of South Florida who have been very distinguished, people like David Fairchild and the Poconos and many other prominent botanists have introduced rare fruits, and just private gardeners in the members of the Rare Fruit Council have brought fruits from all corners of the world.
Excellent.
And when many of them came in, they were just kind of freaky novelty things, but many have gone on to become important commercial crops.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're going to be discussing some of those commercial tropical fruits today. Also, I wanted to ask you, there's so many different types of tropical fruits. How many would you say are grown here locally in
Well, we grow a lot that fit the edible category that aren't that delicious, as well as the delicious ones. But probably we grow about 500 different varieties of tropical fruit,
wow.
which would be, we have 70 different varieties of banana, and I guess 125 different kinds of mango, and on like that. And then just some really strange ones.
Really?
That are just fun.
Excellent. Let me ask you, this Fruit and Spice Park, it's not only just, you know, to go there and see these trees. You guys have a lot of events and a lot of festivals that go on there. Yeah,
you know, we try to be closely attached to the surrounding community, which is still predominantly horticultural and agricultural. And we have some special events, the Redland Natural Arts Festival and the Asian Culture Festival and the Tropical Ag Fiesta that showcase the community and really get people out into the park. And the events are held on the lawn among the trees, and the park is in a safe, secure area, and it's fenced. So it's a kind of a place where you can hold an event and you don't have to worry about your car or your children wandering around. It's very safe.
That's very important. And these type of parties, do you guys rent the park out for private parties or?
Well, yeah, we do rent it for meetings and for weddings and things once in a while. Big events, the landscape can only survive so many of those a year, so we're not really open for those other than the ones we conduct ourselves. But we do have a lot of classes and community meetings and events, and we have classes on grafting fruit trees and gardening and vegetables and so forth.
Yes, excellent. And what would you say is the best time to go visit the Fruit and Spice Park?
Really, anytime. You know, with all these things, any day of the year, you'll find a couple of dozen different fruits. But truly, my favorite time is the summertime, June, July. The lychees and longans and mangoes and jackfruits and many other fruits are ripe, and that's a fun time for us.
Okay. Well, actually, mentioning the lychees, we had the pleasure of having you in the park and talking a little bit more about the lychees. Why don't we go to that tape right now and check that out?
Hi, welcome to the Fruit and Spice Park. This is one of our favorites at the park. This is the lychee, Lychee chinensis. It's from southern China and one of the most beloved ethnic fruits we grow at the Fruit and Spice Park. It fruits in the summer. These will be ready at the first few weeks of June. And lychees are probably one of the best fresh fruits you'll ever find anywhere in the world. And in spite of the fact that tens of millions of people just love it in Southeast Asia and in China, it's not that well known in this country. We are growing it here in South Florida. The original lychee farms really started back in the 50s, and there was an interest in lychees, and they kind of stalled out after a while. Shipping and market acceptance were issues. But then in the 80s, they came back with a boom, and now we grow hundreds of acres of lychee here in South Florida, and untold thousands of trees in backyards all over Central and South Florida. The fruits are bright red and like a peeled grape, the color of a pearl inside, with a large brown seed that slips out of the flesh. That succulent grape flavor is just incredible. It's sweet and it's aromatic. People just love it. Back in China, the heritage goes back thousands of years with lychees. You know, in the marketplace in China where people socialize, they don't talk about how the dolphins are doing or something. They talk about what the lychee crop is going to be this year, just like our lychee farmers do here in South Florida. And it's something that everybody in countries where lychees are grown and appreciated really takes part in. You know, in many parts of the world that aren't as sophisticated as us, instead of having to eat Snicker bars and hot dogs for lunch, they have to eat fresh fruit. And fresh fruit lychees are eaten all over the Orient throughout the entire season. And when the season is over, they dry them or they can them. And the dried ones you may have seen in Chinese restaurants. They're called lychee nuts. They're dried fresh lychees, as prunes are dried plums.
Hi, that was an interesting piece there, talking about the lychees. Lychees is one of my favorite tropical fruits. I can just sit down there and eat like just one after the other, after the other, after the other.
There's millions of people that agree with you, but it's still not as well known in Florida as it ought to be.
It's just amazing. I can't understand that. I guess the Asians have an upper hand on us, and they're trying to keep their secret to themselves, but we're going to get it out there, and we're going to get those lychees in everyone's mouths. So. Chris, I wanted to talk a little bit about you. You're so interesting. You have so much history with this area, with the park. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get started, and how did you get into the Fruit and Spice Park?
Well, yeah, I grew up in Miami, in Little Havana, and I was a professional photographer, and I actually got into this as an escape, and then an obsession, and then it evolved step by step. South Florida has some fabulous people, a resource pool of botanists and scientists and amateurs that are really very well schooled, and many of our farmers out here and Rare Fruit Council members were so knowledgeable that it was a place you could really learn and study about tropical fruit, even years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and you've been with the park how long now?
I've been there 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have probably contributed and planted a lot of these beautiful trees there.
Well, yeah, particularly since Hurricane Andrew took almost all of them away.
Oh, that is a shame.
Yeah, that gave us a chance to correct a lot of mistakes and redo the park.
And what do you envision for this park? What changes do you want to bring?
Well, you know, the hurricane gave us a chance to correct all those problems
Start
we had
new
with
again.
the park. Yeah. So we looked at what we were doing and where we were going. And if you come to the Fruit and Spice Park on a Sunday afternoon, the thing you're struck with is that we have a huge disproportionate following of people from all over the tropical world, whether they're Caribbean or Asian or South American. People with their whole families, from grandma right to the babies, come and they look at their trees and they tell stories about them and how you eat them and how they grew them. And so there's a strong heritage and cultural link. So we wanted to take that and work that into our garden.
Okay.
So we redesigned the garden into an ethno-botanical garden on geographical areas, which simply means you go, part of the garden is tropical America and part is Asia and
So if I'm
Africa.
Asia, I'm going straight to the Asian area, and I want to see exactly what my
It's
childhood.
always fun. We always say that if we put paper bags over everybody's heads, we could tell where they were from by the fruit trees they ran out to go see.
Exactly. Okay, so those are some of the things you want to.
Yeah, so the new park, of course, it has that theme design, and then we're working on our landscape quality. We'll be digging a 2.5-acre lake.
Oh, interesting.
We'll be adding better paving for access, greenhouses for ultra-tropical fruits. We can grow so many tropical fruits here, but there's a few we can't, like breadfruit and mangosteen and durian and fruits that have huge cultural importance in history and so forth. And you can't tell the whole story about tropical fruits until you talk about breadfruit and the mutiny on the Bounty and all of those things. So we'll be able to do that after this year. We'll have the first of our greenhouses in, and it'll expand our fruit collection quite a bit.
Excellent. Okay, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come right back to hear a little bit more about the tropical fruits. Don't go away.
Hey, kid, what's shaking? Besides me.
Dad, there's something wrong with the fridge.
What?
Ooh, a snack.
Got energy hogs in your house? Now you have the power to do something about them. Log on to energyhog.org. Because nobody likes an energy hog.
Hey, they got Charlie! Yeah, who cares?
Now there's a drug available all across America.
Ecstasy changed my life.
Ecstasy is not for everyone. In fact, it's not for anyone. New studies show that ecstasy is toxic to the body. Side effects may include depression, severe anxiety, hypertension, heat stroke, seizures, heart attacks, liver damage, kidney or cardiovascular system failure, worried parents, loss of friends, isolation, emptiness.
Ecstasy changed my whole life.
Ask your doctor and see why ecstasy isn't right for you.
Hi, welcome back to Taste the Florida Tropics. I'm Sonia Vaquero, and today we're having a discussion with Chris Rollins from the Fruit and Spice Park. And we're talking about some interesting facts about the Fruit and Spice Park here in the Redland Homestead area. And we were also talking about what Chris envisioned for the park. Now, Chris, let me ask you, you had started many organizations, you've been involved in so many organizations with the growers down here in the Redlands area. Talk to me a little bit about the Tropical Fruit Growers of South Florida, which is the sponsor of this
Sure. Well, you know, back in the early 80s, a phenomenon occurred that I have my own theory on this. Prior to that period of time, most of the American public did not want exotic things. They wanted meat and potatoes and what came from Europe that they brought with them. Now, the bananas broke through in the days of the clipper ships, and then there was a long stretch until the kiwi worked its way in, and then another long stretch of 10 or 12 years until tropical fruit began to click. And I think it's a convergence of returning veterans from tropical places, immigration, and the emergence of affluence and yuppiedom and an interest in new cuisine, and it just materialized very quickly. Star fruit is a great example, and that's one of the fruits that really caused the formation of the Tropical Fruit Growers Association, because we didn't really know much about it. And there was a great big fruit packing house near the park, and well known, and they packed avocados and limes and mangoes and all the things we grew at the time. And I happened to be at a meeting with the president, and I said, you know, do you ever pack star fruit or carambola? And he said, I'm in this business to make money. I don't mess around with that stuff. Well, 3 years later, his employees were driving up and down back streets of Miami and Homestead, looking for any kind of carambola tree where they could knock on doors and buy every single fruit.
You see?
And they didn't change. They're still there to make money, but all of a sudden the public was willing to accept those.
There's more of a demand now that we're seeing all these wonderful fruits, and we're finding out so many great things about them. Their antioxidant, the nutritional levels that these fruits have are just amazing. And yes, we are wanting them more. We're seeing them more in our supermarkets, and retailers are becoming more common. Let me ask you, now with this Fruit and Spice Park, that there's so many festivals and year-round and workshops and everything. I know there's an interesting one where it's going to be featuring so many of these beautiful fruits as you see here today, the Tropical Ag Fiesta. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I'm all excited.
That's a great event
coming up.
Because you know, we being a botanical garden, you know, we've talked to people about tropical fruit every day since 1944. And many people miss us. So these festivals are a way to bring people that might not have been to the park before. And once they come once, they're a lot more likely to return.
They're hooked, absolutely.
So yeah, we really get to showcase the park. And in another sense, it's like an open house, because our local residents from the Redland and Homestead all come in and say hello and meet each other. And we have several events, and the Tropical Ag Fiesta is the big fruit event in the summer in the fruit season, and that's the time I promise you'll be warm because it's June, but on the other hand, you'll be rewarded with lychees and mangoes and all kinds of wonderful fruit.
Yeah, we can't get away from the heat, but that's okay. We're going to have some wonderful things going on at that Ag Fiesta. Not only are we going to be seeing so many of these tropical fruits that are in season at that time, that is the peak time, where we're going to have the lychees and the longans and jackfruit and all these wonderful things. But also so many other things, like you said, grafting classes, workshops. We're going to be having chef demonstrations. We're having some wonderful chefs come in and utilize some of these tropical fruits so that the public can see some new cuisine, some new tastes, and things like that. This year, in June, we're going to have some of our chef spokesman, which is Chef Allen, and he's going to be doing some of these cuisines with the tropical
25
fruit.
years ago, Chef Allen was with all the rest of us out there picking berries in the trees and sampling the fruits at the park, and
yeah,
he's been associated with the tropical fruit industry.
Yeah, he's very involved, and I know he loves the Fruit and Spice Park. And we were also there in the Fruit and Spice Park, and we talked a little bit about a jackfruit. Let's take a look at that tape.
This is the jackfruit, and everybody's favorite. You know, there's an old advertising slogan that agencies used to use, and they'd say, if you can't do it right, do it big. Well, jackfruit does both. It's incredible, it's great, and it's the biggest cultivated tree fruit in the world, edible fruit. These are babies here. These aren't quite ripe yet. They'll be the size of large watermelons, and they look like watermelons wrapped in alligator skin. And a typical jackfruit tastes like banana, cantaloupe, and juicy fruit gum all mixed together. Inside the fruit there's a central core. There's a couple of hundred seeds that are great big seeds. And the seeds are boiled and eaten like chestnuts or cooked right in curries and things when the fruit is cooked green as a vegetable. But it's best for me when it's ripe and very, very aromatic. This fruit may look like an oddity to you, but this is beloved by millions and millions in tropical Asia, from India to the Philippines, and now it grows in Africa and in Jamaica, and it pops up all over the tropical world. Here at the Fruit and Spice Park, this is one of our unusual trees in that it is so much appreciated. We sometimes have a little theft problem. So, we've actually caught great big jackfruits inside baby strollers being pushed out the front door with a little baby blanket over it, and people trying to throw them over the fence. But it's so compelling, people just can't resist. It is just beloved. It's used in many different ways. I mentioned we use it as a vegetable, cooked green. The seeds are edible, and it also has a sticky white sap that is used as bird lime in tropical Asia. You know, in many parts of Asia, songbirds are a huge hobby, and people all have a songbird in a cage. And the way they used to catch them was to get jackfruit sap and paint it on a fresh sap on a branch and wait for a little bird to land, and he would be stuck like flypaper there. So that was called bird lime, and they used to catch songbirds that way. So the jackfruits form right on the trunk of the tree to hold that massive amount of weight. and from female flowers, and the male flowers are out on the tips of the branches. So when you get a chance to try jackfruit, even canned and frozen, it's very good. Give it a try.
Hi, hope you like that information on the jackfruit. Actually, we have some of the tropicals right here with us, and these are all real and mostly edible. And the jackfruit is one of a very, it's very ethnic, not so mainstream, but I think it's an up-and-comer and something that we definitely have to try. Now, Chris, we were talking a little bit about the Ag Fiesta that's coming up in June, which we have to go and see it, and you must go out to the Fruit and Spice Park and check this festival out. Even though it's going to be a little hot, hopefully it won't be raining, and we'll be able to try some of these wonderful fruits, try some of the cooking, go to some of these workshops and lectures.
Yeah, we have educational displays, you
Yeah.
know, from USDA, and there are all kinds of interesting things, not just about commercial agriculture, which is there, but the nursery trade, which is huge, of course, here in South Dade. And
So you'll be able to
ethnic
buy
vegetables
some
and-
of these wonderful fruits there.
Oh, yeah, there'll be a lot to taste and to buy and sample, and there'll be some really great locally made ice cream from Gabrielle Berrier that's the best ice cream you've ever had, I promise. It's
Really?
excellent. Her guava ice cream, it just tastes like a real guava. It's just wonderful. So there's a lot of good things to look forward to out at the Ag Fiesta.
Yes, and children will definitely like it. I know there's a lot of activities that we're going to be having for the children.
We have a lot of good things for kids to do, including a coloring table where they can kind of sit down and relax and recover, you know, after a while, you know, in that kind of heat that kids just need a place to.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. We're going to be having, actually with the lychees that we saw a little bit earlier today, we're going to be having a lychee peeling contest for the kids. See how many lychees can you peel within a minute or so. And also a tropical fruit recipe contest, which, you know, any dessert, make a tropical fruit dessert, bring it in. You're going to get $1 off, and you could be a winner. You could be a grand prize winner. We're going to have some great prizes.
Yeah, and some great tastes and samples from some of those recipes.
Yes,
And
we're going to
things.
get you to be one of these chefs, so you can taste all these wonderful.
Yeah, I'm willing to judge.
You really the tough job, you'll be able to do it.
Sure. Yeah, one of my favorite children's activities that we do, just because I think it's silly, is we make a great big jackfruit piñata for the children, and I just think it's a fun thing for the fruit festival to have a jackfruit piñata, because they are just great big fruits anyway.
And they're going to smash it
And
all
they're
over
going
the
to smash
place.
it, and periodically throughout the day we'll sacrifice jackfruit piñatas.
Excellent. Some of the other things that we're going to be having is some tropical fruit wines, which we're going to be discussing a little bit more of that on another tropical fruit segment. But I also wanted to ask you, this Tropical Ag Fiesta, was it always the Tropical Ag Fiesta? Was it known as this?
Yeah, it's evolved over really a very long period of time. It started out as the Mango Festival. And, you know, people have loved tropical fruit in Miami since its very inception at the turn of the last century. If you were to have walked down a street in Miami in the 1920s, a residential area, and asked people about tropical fruit, they would probably know all about many of the things we're talking about now as if they're new.
Exactly.
So there's always been this interest. And the Mango Festival was a local Redland event where they would gather all the mangoes, because people are crazy about mangoes.
Yes.
And you could go and see 100 different kinds of mangoes, and you could buy cases of them, and you could eat your fill and sample the kinds. And this was a local thing, and we held it in the extension office down here in different places. And then later on I guess it was in the early 70s, we wanted to encompass more of agriculture. So we changed the name to the Tropical Ag Fiesta.
Excellent. And some of the other fruits that we are going to be looking at is the mamey. Why don't we go to see that tape right now?
This is the mamey sapote. And if you had to pick one fruit that sort of typified and represented the Hispanic community in Miami, especially the Cuban community, mamey would be the choice, or sapote. And the name sapote is confusing. It means different things to different people. There's 7 or 8 sapotes, but they're all sweet fruits from tropical America. Mamey sapote is the one that we feature most here in South Florida. When this fruit ripens, it turns a deep orange color inside, and it's got a creamy, sweet flavor, something like a sweet potato. This is a fruit that's just beloved in the Cuban community. When I was a kid and growing up in Little Havana in Miami in the 60s, when we could get these at all in the local markets, they've sold for as much as $8 or $9 a pound retail. And people would line up to get them, and the grocer would cut the fruit and take the seed back when he did sell it. So it's a really interesting fruit, and it makes excellent milkshakes and ice cream. If you haven't tried it, try it, because not only Sedano's, but often Winn-Dixie and Publix and many places will have Mamey ice cream. To tell if it's ripe, you scratch the skin like this with your thumbnail. And if it comes out kind of pink or orange, as this one is, this one can be taken off, and it will ripen in another week to 2 weeks. It will soften, and when it gets soft like pudding, then you slice it and you can put it in your shakes. You can use it fresh. It's a great fruit and a very good backyard tree here for South Florida, the Mamey sapote.
Hope you enjoyed that series on the Mamey sapote. Very interesting to be able to know when to take that off, and all the different types of recipes that we can use that. We're talking here today about some of the tropical fruits and the Tropical Ag Fiesta. And you were telling me a little bit about how it started as the Mango Festival, and it's evolved into the Tropical Ag Fiesta. I guess bringing everybody more closer together, encompassing all the different types of agriculture and different areas of agriculture.
Originally, there was a group of mango growers who were just great fanatic mango guys, and that's kind of how it got started. And then they wanted to represent more of our agriculture here in South Dade
as a whole. And so there at the Tropical Ag Fiesta in June, there's going to be, as you said, nursery vendors. So we're going to be able to buy some of these wonderful fruits.
Yeah, you know, it's a unique opportunity to come out and taste them and see the full-size trees growing there, and buy the same tree if you decide you like it.
If you like
so it's really kind of an interest. It's a showroom for tropical fruits out at the Ag Fiesta.
Excellent. Excellent. Hopefully, I know that it was in different areas at times. Has this been the best location to host this type of?
Yeah, it moved around a little bit, and went up to the youth fair for a little while, and it's been around different places, and we're really glad to have it come back this year to the Fruit and Spice Park. It was at the park for a number of years. And we like that because, again, it's a lawn and grass instead of blazing asphalt, and there's trees to kind of soften everything, and you can go stand in the shade, and it's a nice setting for it.
Well, it's a perfect setting. The Fruit and Spice Park, a botanical garden with all these different types of fruits and herbs and vegetables. It's wonderful. Chris, I want to thank you so much for being here today, for giving us a background on this Fruit and Spice Park. I want you guys to check out the website, be there at the Tropical Ag Fiesta. Don't miss it. It's the place to be in June.